welcome back to the logstead. I'm so glad you could come by today. It's been far too long since we got together. So, let's get cozy. Wild in the woods. Today I've mixed Earl Grey tea and a little bit of calendula flower. case you didn't like chocolate covered raisins. I got you some Smarties. Okay. First up is this giant bag, which clearly I am not going to fit in the shot very easily without catching it on fire. So I will show you a little bit here, and I will insert a small clip of a better view of the bag. This bag is a blanket-sized project bag. It does not have the buttons on, and we'll have a little look through my button container to pick some. Normally I put my brass Logsted buttons on my bags, but because of the sheer size of this bag and it needing two for a closure, my brass buttons didn't seem big enough for it. This bag has lots of fun spring fabrics on it. And inside there is a double pocket. It says the Logsted Bag 51. This is a pink felt and faux leather piping on the top. There's my Nutcracker cameraman lighting guy. And here are the other several bags started. I have been working on cutting out and sewing those bags in the past couple weeks. I have 8 that will look exactly like that, except for a very small difference in some of the bars of fabric where my scrap stash would only supply me, say, with 4 of a certain kind. I used another similar fabric in that same spot in the log cabin grid to make it all work out. This tin is full of larger buttons from my vintage button stash that I thought I could find some good matches. we'll let those soak a while, and once they're all cleaned off and dry, I hope they'll be a lovely match for my bags. I just had to wipe that spoon off. Oh, goodness, sorry. Lavender sugar. Alright, let's get on with some knitting, shall we? As you will have seen in my previous videos, recently I've been working on the 24 Birds Mystery Knit Along by Helen Stewart. And this is how far I've gotten with my project. I am still trying to finish clue number 2. You know how sometimes different projects feed different times, and lace knitting is so fun, especially in the round. I enjoy that very much, and I think finishing this project will be very enjoyable when I'm ready for a few more lace charts. I just needed to pause and do something a little easier on my brain for a little bit, which is okay. I absolutely love how these homespun house colorways are fading into each other, and I think it's going to be a very beautiful shawl. Here are the 4 colors that I've been fading. I started with this Avada Kedavra, and then I moved on to Return to Hogwarts, I believe. This. Do I have the tags in here? No, I don't, but I do have my knit book. Yes, the first one is Avada Kedavra. And the second one is Return to Hogwarts 2021 Mystery Yarn Club. The third hank is Halloween at Hogwarts, which was another mystery club. And this fourth hank I haven't put in the shawl yet. It's called Hagrid's Hut, and it was a Harry Potter club from early on. I bought this on a D-stash from Helen Stewart, in fact, and it is funny to me that it is ending up in this shawl to complete my set that I chose that reminds me of nature. I'm keeping this shawl in a wool bag that Serena of Wild in the Woods made me, and I can hear my lovely knitter's hand balm. Was in the bottom. I'm just gonna take a smattering. Lemon juice and baking soda is really drying on your hands, in fact. And we all know how much I love my knitter's hand balm from Wild in the Woods. I probably mention it almost every episode. I wish that videos had a scent option, because this wild rose is so sweet and delicious. My next project is in this big Finch bag that was sewn by Bags by JoJo on Etsy. Jo is the mother of the Cozy Up Knits ladies, and she has a wonderful Etsy shop. So I've cast on an old school project in acrylic. Oh, and I don't have the front page. This is the Granny Cardigan by Johi Locatelli. If editing me remembers, I will insert a photo. I have not gotten that far. As you can see, I've just kind of set up the first part of the panel and done a little bit of the chart work. I put this photo collage in here because I was inspired by the night bus from the Harry Potter movies, and I had been looking at different colors of purple available and ended up choosing Amethyst by Red Heart Super Saver, which when I first became a knitter, I learned on acrylic, and my very first handful of projects were all on acrylic yarn. So this cardigan is kind of an ode to beginnings of the craft that I love so much. I think it's going to be a really fun, bright cardigan, and I'll wear it a lot in the autumn, and it will be washable, so that will be very helpful around the house. Sure is a good thing I emptied all those work in progress bags in the last episode, isn't it? An unplanned cast on. The I Smell Snow Shawl by Melody Hoffman. And I am using a very special yarn. Look at how beautiful this is. This is 100% Canadian wool, fingering single by Wild in the Woods. The colorway is blackberry, and this was a precious gift to me for my birthday recently. Thank you, Serena. I love it so much. It was just burning a hole in my creative mind, waiting to be used. And Serena had also knit me the I Smell Snow shawl, which is in my bedroom. It's knit in her yarn. I will insert a photo here because it is stunning and I love it and I wear it quite a bit. And upon showing this beautiful shawl to my friend Jamie, we decided this would be the perfect easy on the brain cast on project for us to cast on. And so we did. I'm willing to bet that Jamie will be showing her shawl on the next episode of Cozy Up Knits if you'd like to catch that. So not only is this shawl being knit in some beautiful yarn that my friend made me, I'm knitting it with another dear friend. So that's really fun. I just wanted to show you my Mrs. Weasley's family socks one more time because look at how these pooled. Oh, I just love them so much. They have been sitting on my desk so that I can admire them, but I think I am going to wear them once before I wash and block them and put them away for my autumn sock box because I just can't wait to wear them any longer. This yarn is a colorway called Vibing by a homespun house, and I had started these socks for the Crazy Sock Ladies Summer Sock Camp Knit Along, the knit along held by Kay Litton, and I just recently finished them. But the Summer Sock Camp Knit Along is going to be coming up soon. Kay actually just mentioned it in her recent podcast, and her artwork for the knit along merch that will be in her shop is underway. These socks, Mrs. Weasley's Family Socks pattern by Molly Klatt of a homespun house. I'll be knitting this pattern again. It was really enjoyable. it is easy to memorize and take on the go, and these little texture rows, they keep your interest, give you something a little extra in a almost vanilla sock. Which leads me to my last project to discuss, is another pair of socks. The Whispers in the Wind socks by Kay Litton, who is the crazy sock lady. And I'm knitting them in a Stellina sock set. Dyed by the Tudor Rose Craft Studio, who has now closed her Etsy and changed her name and opened up a new shop called the Copper Kettle Yarn and Bag Co. Yes, I was trying to remember if it was Bag and Yarn Co., but it is Yarn and Bag Co. I had ordered this Harry Potter mystery sock set probably a couple years ago now, and I was just waiting for the right pattern. But look at this. How perfect. It almost looks like plaid. It reminds me of tartan in a way. The way that the texture is playing with the color in this yarn is making me so happy. I love this little glint of silver stellina. I love when stellina has been dyed well and the maximum glitter effect has been maintained in the yarn. It's difficult to do. Stellina is not an easy base to dye, so I applaud dyers for taking it on because it's not straightforward. That's for certain. So these are the Whispers in the Wind socks. I am doing a 64 stitch sock. I'm actually using 2.5 millimeter socks needles instead of the 2.25 that are suggested in the pattern, because I have a tighter gauge and I need a little bit larger needle to acquire the right gauge in the fabric. But I absolutely recommend this pattern. Its charts, which I don't want to show you, but they are very, very enjoyable. Easy to memorize, but grabs your attention in a detail row, which I think is one of my favorite setups for socks. And I think Kay Litton understands that as a knitter, and she creates patterns that are engaging, that look beautiful, but are not hard thinking patterns. They are easily memorized and enjoyable, and it's the perfect balance, especially if you are in the mood to knit a textured sock. I have one little DPN in there that I use for part of the chart. I'm not certain who sewed this bag. I am thinking it might be stamped inside. No. Serena, if you actually sewed this bag, can you let me know in the comments? This was a gift from her. But I don't see a tag or stamped name on it, so I'm not sure if she sewed it herself, because she sews beautiful bags. She has made me a few. Well, you saw the wool bag earlier. So these cute little sheep are housing my current that is everything I'm working on at the moment. I have one crochet project to show you. Oh, it looks like two actually. I forgot that I made this little coaster for my cup out of a scrap of bulky yarn. But look, I used my Neville Longbottom and little Trevor the Frog crochet hook by Simply Serving. I just love these hooks so much. My blanket that I'm working on is fingering weight, and I have this Luna Lovegood crochet hook that I've been using, and she is not only adorable but really easy to crochet with. This is the, I have to turn back a page. This is the Sock Scraps Granny Stripe Blanket by Leela McCullough. Serena and I is it called cast on when it's crochet? I chained on, I don't know, maybe a seasoned crocheter can tell me in the comments. This blanket out of scraps and 10-gram minis. A lot of them I have received in our advent calendar that Serena and I make for each other. And we just decided we needed something to cast on. And so we decided on a blanket, and we found some patterns, and we chose this one. And I am completely hooked on scrappy blanket crocheting. I mean, look at it. It's so pretty. It's just so fun. I just love it. And I've never really been a large-scale crocheter, so this is a first for me. But I try to put 10 grams a day onto it, and this is the color. Oh, no, that's not it. This is the color I'm on right now. This is the one I'll do next. And then that's the next one after that. This is about 13 grams. I'm not being exact about my striping. I am using the magic knot method by Kay the Crazy Sock Lady. Has a tutorial on how to do it. And I'm literally using this secure knot method so that I don't have a bunch of ends to weave in later. And it's fine. Absolutely holding. I'm trying to find one of the knots so I can show you, but they really do blend. Oh, here's one. They really do blend in, and you snip the ends of your yarn right close to the knot, and you won't have trouble with it. I really yanked on them before I could trust the process, but now I have made quite a few of them, as you see, and it works wonderfully. I'm needing to transfer this to a bigger bag soon because it does not all fit in here. I keep my little notions for snipping the magic knots when I'm done. But this project, it's bringing me so much joy right now, and I work on it every day, and it is a no-brainer project, and I love it. I recommend casting on a blanket just so you have something easy and enjoyable. I would just like to add that while Serena has knit-fluenced me over the years under the spell of her wonderful yarn, that we really have leveled up now, meaning that our crochet antics have enticed one more beautiful friend to start a blanket. Should you too want to be crochet influenced, please feel free to cast on the Sock Scraps Granny Stripe blanket. And remember, you can sit by me. I will be sewing and knitting this week and enjoying all the stitches I can squeeze in. I am making plans for the Halfway to Haunts make-along that is starting up in May. It is hosted by Megan Moons of the Fibromancer. I recommend checking her channel out if you haven't. She has been doing a knitting podcast for quite a while now, and her channel has grown into a regular vlogging channel, and her family is beautiful, and I just love them. They are so unique. I've been thinking a lot about the different channels that I subscribe to, and I really enjoy YouTube knitting podcasts because I feel like as makers, we have this giant community of really individual creative people coming together and enjoying the same art. And it makes me so happy that just because someone is not the same as you in all the ways doesn't mean you can't appreciate them as a maker and connect with other creative people because you share a passion of making with your hands. You can celebrate other people's projects with them by simply sharing good words, appreciating others' art, being excited for them when they finish a project that they've been working on for a long time, and just being inspired by someone else's enthusiasm, I think, is one of the most filling things for a creative soul to experience. I have in my Ravelry favorites a file that I've named Others Art, and so when I see someone post a project of a pattern that I enjoy or I've never seen before, it could be a pattern that I really might not have plans to ever knit, but that person's project, their color choices, how they paired the yarn to the pattern, any modifications that they made, or their finished object photos, there could be a number of things about it that made me go, that is so good. And when I find those kind of projects, I save them under this Others Art file. So if you have time this week and you knit on Instagram, or you knit on Ravelry, or you knit on Facebook in a group, whatever your knitting outlet might be, I encourage you to find a few projects, find a few things that someone's making that just make you smile, and just give that person a few kind words. It can go a long way. Okay, I will definitely see you in 1 week because I really dislike leaving too much space in between owl post videos. I have discovered that it throws me off a little bit. So I hope to have some progress on my knitting, and I hope to see you back in a week. Okay.